So yesterday in the news was that Bungie had additional layoffs. They had 220 people, 17% of the workforce. So first off, if you work at Bungie, the layoffs are not your fault. You did everything right. You're working hard. Pete Parsons to blame. Let's just be clear. Pete Parson has said that it was overambitious. No, much like most dudes his place, he gets rewarded for hypergrowth, and that's what he chose to do over people's lives. He wanted sports cars and didn't care about people. He said he did everything he could to keep employees while spending an employee salary a month on sports cars. He has a large collection. He should be fired. Full stop. Let's just be clear on that before we get any further in this. He should be fired. If his job as CEO is to guide the company and run it well and take care of the people and make money, because that's, of course, the most important thing, he's done none of those well. He should be fired. Pete Parson should be fired. Pete Parson, if he was a man, would step down. But he's not, so he won't. I don't like Bungie. I've said it. I like the people there. I love a whole bunch of the people there. And the process and the system that Bungie is set up in is just... But with that, someone was like, well, why do they need so many people if Valve just had that article of they have, about as many people as just got laid off and they do so much more. So the people at Bungie must be lazy. That is BS. The people at Bungie work hard. The people at Bungie are good people. Again, I really like the people at Bungie. So we've worked with people at Bungie. People at Bungie helped me make my game. I feel like Bungie. The people at Bungie are great, but it's how they're used and how they're set up. But to Bungie's credit or break here is you can't become Valve later in life. You need to start that way. And that was Gabe's, if you want to talk about one Gabe's big innovation or big deep thought, was him and Harrington's thought on how to run and set up the company where people were emboldened and given autonomy and made their own bosses. It has rough periods at times where it may not quite go like that, and especially during Half-Life 1 when they were smaller, it was rough, but it definitely bloomed to that, and that gives everybody this great deal of responsibility and problem solving. I remember Gabe one time talking about, there was some problem I was trying to deal with. And he's like, look, if we hired an assistant producer, that person would just go and figure out how to fill out these forms in this database that need to be done. And they would get maybe efficient at doing that. And they could do that well over time. But if you give that to somebody like an engineer who just doesn't want to do it, Valve's very engineer heavy, they will figure a way to automate that and never have to do it again. I remember talking with an executive from the big World of Tanks developer, and he was like, here's the problem. When we grew, we had this problem of if we had to move a box, we hired a guy to move a box because, hey, we just have a bunch of engineers. We'll hire this guy to move a box. And then when they had another box to move, instead of going, oh, we have a guy who moves boxes, they go, how do we solve this problem last time? We hired someone to move that box. So they hired more people. Right. And then none of those people are lazy. None of those people are bad who are working, but they were just set up in a process and a system where that is how they work. That's just the way it is. I mean, there are places like I know an engineer at Progressive Insurance who he's like, we fix one bug a day and that's all we do. Because if you fix more than that, you're going to piss off everybody you work with. And that's all we do. Like, because they've been disincentivized from ever caring more and doing more. Where at Valve, you're very much incentivized and very much given the power to say, like, you can fail, you can screw up, you can go do stuff, right? I mean, I've said that again and again of, like, how small we were and how, like, when I used to travel and do events and shows, I've built my own tables. Like, I've seen event teams and all this, and I think Valve has that as well, but, like, it starts small, and you just prove yourself, and you prove how to do it, and then they're like, oh, we should put more into this, right? But a lot of companies don't do that. A lot of companies, like how Pete Parsons runs them, is just... oh, people are expendable. They're the most expensive thing, but we can also, the thing is we can eject and cut costs the quickest. Cutting his salary would have helped. That didn't happen. Right? And so first, the people at Bungie, it's not their fault. They're hardworking, good people. It is not your fault. But it is Pete Parsons' fault. And we got to start saying that. We got to start being clear about that. When you're the CEO and you just want to claim that hypergrowth or you're too ambitious was the problem, no. This isn't a sea of change. This isn't a thing that came out of left field. This is your effing job to be looking for those things and caring about those things, and you chose not to, or you're just really bad at it. I don't like Pete. I don't like the name Pete. It's maybe the first Pete I really don't like. Yeah, maybe.